Every year, the Omer, which is the count of 49 days between the second night of Pesach to the festival of Shavuot, every year it provides me with a challenge. It's not just a challenge to remember to count every day for 7 weeks, but it's also a challenge of approach. Why am I counting up or down? And that challenge of counting, by the way, is an important one. I was certainly raised in the tradition that if you miss a day's count, then you can't continue the count. So you have to make sure that you do it properly. So the number count increases every single day. But we're actually counting down in some sense towards another festival. Counting towards something is traditionally done counting down. So why do we count up and not down? The Israelites had been wretched slaves in Egypt. They've been the lowest of the low. When it comes to Shavuot, though, we're at the revelation at Sinai. This is originally Shavuot was a harvest festival, but the rabbis ascribed it a historical mythical perspective of the revelation of Sinai. So the Israelites had gone from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high, to be at that elevated point of being able to receive revelation. So to mirror that, we count, in some sense, from low to high to show our spiritual growth. There's also a similarity with Chanukah. In Chanukah, we count up, we add candles, even though the miracle of the oil was that the oil burned down but didn't burn out. There was enough oil to last for 8 days, and then there was enough oil to last for 7 days and 6 days and 5 days. You'd expect us to count down, to take one candle away, but instead we add a candle. And the reason that we do that, says Talmud, is because we always add to holiness. And so similarly, as we go from Egypt to Sinai, we are increasing holiness, so we always count up. But my greater challenge isn't the actual counting of the Omer, it's the mood. Traditionally, this is a time of semi-mourning, during which we don't have weddings, we don't have parties, we don't have similar things. And we do that because we're remembering the plague that supposedly wiped out so many thousands of Akiva's students. And until Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the Omer, we experience a period of semi-mourning. And I personally find it really hard to be engaged in semi-mourning, having just escaped Egypt, because my freedom has been won and I want to celebrate. And now I'm working my way towards God's revelation at Sinai, and I will say, I think I have a theme for our Tikkun Leil Shavuot, more about that soon. But how can I be despondent? We are moving from slavery to service to God. We're moving to connection with God. How can I be despondent? So my challenge is an emotional one. I can mourn for the temple on Tisha B'Av. I can mourn for that because that's something that historically happened. But the death of Akiva's 24,000 students is not something that happened historically. It happened in our religious narrative. So it's difficult for me. And yet, I will be exploring this more in my sermon this evening, and yet there is a reason that's given in Talmud that I think is really important for that plague. It's because they didn't have respect for each other. And so maybe instead of focusing on this being a period of semi-mourning, maybe we can reinterpret this a little. If we're going from being slaves to receiving God's Torah, that's actually a very good time for us to say, to have a check, a period of time, maybe 7 weeks or maybe the first 33 days of the Omer, for us to say, we need to check, are we being respectful of each other? In everything that we do, in our services, in the way that we write forms, in the way that we talk to each other, are we always showing the highest level of respect for each other? So maybe even if this is not a historical event and it's difficult to mourn them, maybe we can find a different meaning of the Omer, which is a period of reflection on whether or not we are respectful to each other. That sets us up perfectly for Shavuot, for the revelation at Sinai. And maybe that is one way, and I'll be exploring others tonight, maybe that's one way that we can really help make the Omer count. So I hope you'll be able to join me for our service this evening, where I'll explore this a little more. And also join us for Torah study tomorrow morning, where we're going to be looking at the Omer. Last year, we looked at the halacha of can women count. I think I called the session Do Women Count quite deliberately, because there's a question, do women count the Omer? Obviously women count. At least in Reform Judaism, I think we can say. And so instead of looking at halacha, we're going to be looking at different perspectives to help make this Omer period lively, spiritually meaningful, and exciting. So I hope you'll be able to join us for our Kabbalat Shabbat service, for Torah study, and of course for our Shabbat Shacharit service as well. I hope to see you then. I wish you Shabbat Shalom.